Buying a home versus living on rent? One wrong decision could become a 20-year EMI. Imagine a man who pays 25,000 rupees in rent every month. The landlord increases the rent every year, and the man thinks to himself, I'm giving so much money in rent, instead of this, why don't I just pay an EMI and get my own home? One day, he goes to see a beautiful flat. The builder says, Sir, why pay rent? Pay EMI and become the owner. Hearing this, the heart agrees. But as soon as the calculation starts, he is faced with down payment, registration, stamp duty, interiors, maintenance, loan interest, and a 20-year EMI. The fear starts right here. Is living on rent a waste of money, or is buying a home a burden taken in haste? And the curiosity is, in which situation does owning a home build wealth, and in which situation does that same house tie up your salary for years? Every person has a desire to own their own home. A house isn't just property, it's a sense of security. Walls in your own name, your favorite color, your own balcony, a permanent address for your family, all of this gives a person emotional comfort. But money doesn't run on emotion. There is a place for the heart in a financial decision, but a calculator is also needed. Therefore, buying a house or living on rent isn't just a question of which one is better, but a question of what do my life stage, my income, my city plan, and my savings say? First, understand that paying rent is not always wasted money. Many people say rent is money down the drain, but rent gives you flexibility. You can change cities according to your job, change locations according to your children's school, take a bigger or smaller house according to family size, and if you don't like the society, you can finish the lease and leave. A rented house doesn't give ownership, but it gives freedom. Especially for young professionals, people with transferable jobs, people starting a business, or families whose future location isn't clear, rent is often the wise choice. Now let's talk about buying a house. Buying a house becomes a good decision when you have the capacity not just to pay the EMI, but to bear the entire housing cost. Because in home buying, the price of the flat isn't the final expense. There are also expenses like down payment, stamp duty, registration, brokerage, legal checks, interiors, furniture, shifting, maintenance deposits, parking charges, and emergency repairs. Many buyers get happy just looking at the EMI, but after possession they realize that the real expenses started after getting the house. The first question before buying a house is, do you have the down payment ready? Generally, banks do not finance the entire value of the property. The buyer has to provide a portion from their side. If you don't have at least 15 to 20% of the house price as a down payment, being in a hurry can be dangerous. Because if the down payment is also done by taking a loan, you will have pressure from two sides. The right time to buy a house is when the down payment comes from savings, not from debt. The second question is, do you have an emergency fund? If all your savings are exhausted after buying a house, it is not a safe decision. Even after taking a house, a job can be lost, a medical emergency can arise, business can slow down, or sudden family expenses can occur. Therefore, an emergency fund covering at least 6 months of basic expenses should be kept separate. After the EMI starts, cash flow becomes tight. If there is no backup, even a small emergency can push you toward a credit card or a personal loan. The third question is, are you going to live in that same city and location for at least 5 to 7 years? Buying a house is a long-term decision. If you might change jobs or cities in 1 to 2 years, buying a house can tie you down. Selling property is not easy. Initial costs like stamp duty and registration are not recovered. If the market slows down, it might take time to find a buyer. Therefore, if the location is uncertain, rent might be a better option. Buy a house when there is stability in the city, job, and family plan. Now let's compare EMI and rent. If the rent in an area is very low, and the EMI to buy that same property is 2 or 3 times the rent, then it is not necessary to buy immediately. In such a case, you can pay lower rent and put the remaining money into disciplined investment. But if there isn't much difference between rent and EMI, you have the down payment, and you're going to live in that house long term, then buying can be practical. Just ensure the EMI is kept in a safe range according to your income. By taking a very high EMI, the house might become yours, but life starts feeling like it's on rent, because every month the salary goes into the loan. The home loan interest rate is also a big factor. In India, most home loans are on a floating rate, meaning the interest rate can change. When the repo rate or the lender's policy rates change, it can affect the EMI or the tenure. RBI's monetary policy and banks' lending rates directly affect the pockets of home loan borrowers. In 2026, many banks offer home loan rates linked to the repo-linked or floating benchmarks. and rates can vary based on the borrower's profile, credit score, and loan type. Therefore, one shouldn't take a loan just by looking at a low EMI. One should also understand how the EMI or tenure will change if the rate changes in the future. The credit score is also important in the decision to buy a house. If your credit score is weak, the loan might be expensive or approval might be difficult. Taking a home loan with a weak credit profile means paying more interest over a long period. If your credit score is below 700, existing loans are high, or income is unstable, it might be better to improve the score and savings first. Taking an expensive loan in a hurry to buy a house can slow down future wealth. Tax benefit should also be understood, but one should not buy a house just to save tax. In the old tax regime, a home loan interest deduction on a self-occupied house property can be up to 2 lakh rupees under Section 24B under certain conditions, and a benefit within the limit can be obtained under Section 80C on principal repayment. The Income Tax Department also specifies an interest deduction limit on self-occupied house property of 30,000 rupees or up to 200,000 rupees depending on the case. But in the new tax regime, many deductions are not available or there might be different treatment, so tax benefits should be viewed along with your tax regime and a CA's advice. Government schemes can also help first-time home buyers. The Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban 2.0 aims to provide central assistance to eligible families to construct, purchase or rent affordable houses in urban areas, and its implementation period is stated from 2024 to 2029. But the benefit of the scheme depends on eligibility, income category, city, property type, and the lender's process. Therefore, do not buy any house just assuming that a subsidy will definitely be received. First, verify eligibility through the official portal or an approved lender. Now understand the advantages of buying a house. The biggest advantage is ownership. With every EMI, you are gradually building an asset. Paying rent does not give ownership rights, but by paying EMI, over time the property becomes yours. The second advantage is emotional stability. Having your own home means less worry about landlord notices, rent increases, lease renewals, and restrictions. The third advantage is the possibility of property appreciation. If the location is right, infrastructure is developing, and demand is strong, property value can increase in the long term. But the disadvantages of buying a house are just as real. A home loan can become a 15 to 25-year commitment. The EMI ties up a large portion of your salary. If a problem arises in your job or income decreases, pressure can increase. Costs like maintenance, society charges, repairs, and property tax must be borne by the owner themselves. For a person living on rent, a major repair is often the landlord's responsibility, but for an owner, every leakage, seepage, paint, lift maintenance, and society fund comes out of their own pocket. Therefore, ownership gives freedom, but it also gives responsibility. The advantages of living on rent are also practical. Initial expenses are low. Usually a security deposit and shifting costs are involved, but you don't have to pay a heavy amount like a down payment. You can live on rent in a premium location where buying a house might be out of budget. For example, rent near a city's good school, hospital, or office hub might be manageable, but buying property there might be very expensive. In such a situation, quality of life can be kept better by living on rent, and the remaining money can be invested in mutual funds, SIP, PF, business, or an emergency fund. But there are disadvantages to rent as well. Your rent can increase every year. The landlord can sell the property at any time or decide not to renew the lease. You may face restrictions on house modification, pets, guests, interior changes, or business use. Most importantly, even after paying rent for a long time, no property asset is created in your name. Therefore, rent is a powerful strategy only if you invest the money you save. If you pay less rent but spend the rest on lifestyle, long-term wealth will not be created. A smart rule can work here. If you are living on rent because buying is expensive, create a separate investment plan for the down payment of your dream home. Put a fixed amount into an SIP or a suitable saving instrument every month. Observe the real estate market. Look at interest rates, project delivery, locality development, and your career stability. When the down payment is ready, the emergency fund is built, the credit score is strong, and the location is clear, the decision to buy will be much more confident. If you are thinking of buying, don't just look at the flat, look at the entire ecosystem during property selection. Check roads, water supply, electricity, drainage, schools, hospitals, markets, public transport, safety, parking, society management, and future development. Definitely verify RERA registration, builder track record, legal title, approvals, and possession timeline. A house is not bought just by looking at a beautiful sample flat. A sample flat is marketing. Actual life is built from the project's delivery and location. Another big mistake is, others are buying, so we should buy too. Herd mentality is very dangerous in real estate. A friend took a flat, a relative made an investment, a broker said the price is going to rise, and you came under pressure. But your income, your job, your family size, your city plans and your savings are different. Therefore, the decision will also be different. Buying a house should be for financial readiness and life requirements, not for social status. Now the question is, what should one do? If you don't have a down payment, don't have an emergency fund, the job is uncertain, the credit score is weak, there's a possibility of changing cities, and the EMI will heavily suppress your salary, then living on rent might be better for now. But if you have a stable income, the down payment is ready, you have an emergency fund, a good credit score, you want to stay in that location for a long time, and the EMI can be managed comfortably, then buying a house could become the right decision. There is also an emotional layer to this decision. For some people, their own home is mental peace. They don't want the uncertainty of rent. They want to give a stable environment to their children. For them, buying a house is not just an investment, it's life security. On the other hand, some people value career growth, mobility, and freedom more. They find it necessary to change cities, grab opportunities, and keep capital flexible. For them, rent is not wrong. In other words, there is no universal answer. The right answer is the one that matches your life story. In the end, both buying a house and living on rent have advantages and disadvantages. The only difference is planning. A house bought without preparation can become a burden, and rent taken without investment discipline can destroy wealth. If you live on rent, make sure to save and invest. If you buy a house, conduct a full check of EMI, down payment, emergency fund, and location. Because the real question is not whether rent is better or buying is better. The real question is, which decision is safe, wise, and sustainable for your financial life at this time? So the next time someone says, paying rent is useless, or a builder says, if you don't buy now, the chance will go away, do not decide immediately. Look at your numbers, understand your needs, and test your stability. Buy only that house which secures your life, not one that imprisons your salary. And if living on rent is wiser right now, don't consider it a weakness. Sometimes, waiting for the right time is the biggest financial decision.
If this video has taught you something new, or if you feel this information should reach more people, don't forget to like and share the video. Your small share can become valuable and useful information for someone else. If you have any questions related to this topic, or if you would like to share your opinion with us, be sure to write in the comment box. We read every question and suggestion from you, because your feedback inspires us to create better content. And if you want to keep receiving such interesting and reliable information about business, the economy, and the world in the future, then don't forget to subscribe to our channel GRT Business and also press the bell icon so that you get notifications of every new video directly. At GRT Business, we always strive to provide you with accurate, balanced, and reliable information. Our news and analysis are prepared based on information obtained from various news agencies, public sources, and public opinion. We make every effort to verify and validate each fact as much as possible. But in case of any possible error or dispute, the responsibility lies with the respective sources. Our only aim is to present you with a correct and trustworthy perspective so that you can understand any topic better.